back in middle school, beginning of high school, really. We were both in bands together. We were band geeks. I played the flute, he played the bass clarinet, I believe.
Either late 7th grade or early 8th grade, there was a band concert at our school, a little assembly. I was in the bleachers because I wasn't in the advanced band, and I saw Sarah. She was one of the last flutes to come in, and I looked at her and was like, wow, that girl is so cute. She's so out of my league.
And I ended up seeing this kid in band, and I was like, oh, he's kind of cute, you know, it's fine, that sort of thing. Apparently he'd seen me before then, but we really sort of met and started flirting and talking and all that. Every year our band went on a yearly band camp retreat, so it really was this one time in band camp.
Then in freshman year when we met, turns out she's a nerd. She's a huge weird nerd, and instantly started liking her. We came up with reasons to play flag football and lots of unnecessary tackling.
Played a whole lot of flag football, so you know, a great excuse to pretend that I was just tackling him because it was part of the game. Totally not flirting, nothing at all.
We liked each other, and we each knew it in kind of our own little way.
Actually went through all of high school liking each other, never asking each other out or doing anything about it.
And just never did anything about it, which is probably a good thing.
Which is probably a good thing. In the beginning of 2015, after graduating college, he happened to come back from being deployed at the same time and happened to see, you know, a post about the other person and ask each other out he asked me out for drinks, which I thought it was a date. He thought it was just hanging out.
Turns out it was a date. I didn't want to say it was a date because I didn't want to be like, oh, we're just hanging out. So we went and we hung out until 4 a.m.
Ended up going out to drinks, and then Voodoo, and then Dave & Buster's, and then I think it was 5 in the morning and we were sitting in a Denny's. We ended up sitting over really, really bad cups of coffee. It was terrible, awful, just so you could sit there and keep talking, and nothing else is open at 5 in the morning, obviously.
Then a few days later we hung out again till 4 a.m. A few days later we hung out till 5 a.m. and then we just, after 3 weeks of doing that, we're like, hey, do we boyfriend, girlfriend?
After reconnecting years later and still finding the same thing in the person and still enjoying all the same thing and new things, to me it seemed like, yeah, this is a person that I could spend my life with and be happy with.
Dating ever since, yeah. Moved in together after about a year, and then we've been living together for almost 2.5 years now. Bought a house last October and fixing that up, and yeah, so that's our story in a nutshell there.
So I actually had no idea that he was gonna propose at all. Like I said, I figured, you know, we talked about marriage, we've talked about kids, we've talked about our lives together, all those sorts of things, you know, as a thing that we would do, not like a right now let's get married.
When we were getting our house, we moved out of our apartment, our lease ended, and we lived with her parents for about 4 weeks. The very first morning we were with her parents, we were all downstairs in our pajamas, and I'm just at the counter and I say, well, this is as good a time as any since Sarah's not here. I'd like to ask Sarah to marry me. And
so he's been planning it since then, and I didn't have any idea whatsoever.
About 2 weeks before Sarah's birthday, I go to her mom, Susan, and I say, hey, this is kind of my plan, doing it at her birthday dinner now, and I would really like to use your mother's ring, so Grandma Polly's ring.
And it turns out my mom had given him my grandma's ring on her side, because she passed away, but she meant a lot to me. Yeah, a lot of good memories there.
And we make this really awkward transition out into the lobby to all go to the bathroom because Susan needed to go to the bathroom, and Sarah's really confused why we all had to go into the lobby for Susan to go to the bathroom.
Okay, sure, Mom. Let's go out through the lobby. Why not? Let's go to the lobby. Didn't notice the server coming behind us as well with champagne glasses and a bottle of champagne. Probably could have been another cue to know something was going on. Didn't know at all.
Sarah heads out the door into the lobby, and we're all behind her. We're all filtering through, and she turns around. And I very awkwardly say, "Hey, we have one more present for you." And it's this little bag, and she goes, "Oh." And we all start gathering around, and she's very confused looking. It's all very kind of awkward and cute, but awkward. And she opens the bag and sees the box, and she starts shaking and like, "What is this?"
He is wonderful and loving, but a man of very few words.
And I just, so completely awkward and rushed and nervous and everything, get down on the knee and open the box and, "Will you marry me?" And she's what is this? What's going on? What is this? And she starts kind of tearing up a little bit and says, "Yes, yes." And
got down on one knee and asked me if you could marry me, and pulled out my grandma's ring, which was all, another completely emotional thing. And yeah, so got to have my parents there, and
her dad starts crying and Susan's crying. The server's like, "Oh, it's so sweet." And it was all very rushed and, awkward and kind of romantic, but mostly just awkward. But just kind of how actually to describe our relationship. That's we're just very awkward, strange people when it comes to public things.
I remember what he was like during dinner only because he ordered steak, which is apparently the best steak that he's ever had, and he could not stop talking about it.
Side note, best steak I ever had in my entire life. I tell that every time I tell that story. It's really good steak.
Even in just the 3 years that we've been dating versus when we were just friends, we've changed completely and grown together and grown as people. We've found new interests and hobbies with each other, pushed each other to be better in different ways, that sort of thing. And I'm just interested to see where that keeps going.
She pushes me to be happy, pushes me to do the things that I want to have happen, but I'm too lazy to do.
Even in my personal life, for things like work, I was unhappy with what I was doing for a while, and just pushed me to be like, okay, you know what, you need to quit and go find something new. And it's always been really supportive and really good about pushing me to, not just be better in terms of us, but be better for myself and grow as a person. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Just want to tell you, I love you so much, all my heart. I'm sorry that sometimes I'm not good at expressing that with words. I just want you to know that always in the end, I love you, and I can't wait to be married to you and have kids and spend our life together, and always get annoyed at telling you which outfits to wear. So I love you.
I'm excited for our next big step. I'm excited for a life with you. We've talked for years about all the different things we want to do, and I can picture all of them. I like you and I love you.